Hi guys, something I've covered before in relation to Northern Ireland is how loyalist paramilitaries and organisations related to them still have a massive grip on communities there. So in a recent scandal connected to the PSNI, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, they had been advising asylum seekers and immigrants to negotiate with paramilitary leaders in communities they wish to move into. Then we had a minister from the Northern Ireland Executive meet with a group that represents loyalist paramilitaries to discuss his education brief and the Irish language. And now this week we have another DUP minister meet with the militants. This was rightly called out as unacceptable by a Alliance Party member of the Assembly. Have a listen.
Well, they've had 26 years to transition, Stephen. How much longer do these organisations need? There is no impediment to these organisations shutting up shop and actually trying to make a positive difference through other avenues in our community.
There is.
For a minister,
their money will stop. There is an impediment. The money will stop.
For a minister to sit down with the LCC to consult them on economic disadvantage is akin to sitting down with Dracula to ask him how to run a blood bank. These are organisations who leech off of economic disadvantage in communities, who are engaged in illegal lending, who are engaged in drug dealing, and who are terrorising communities actively today, not in the past, but today. Fundamentally, we all have a choice. Either we believe that paramilitarism is a stain in our society, Stephen, and we work to stamp out those community gatekeepers, or we do what the DUP have been doing in recent weeks, which is actually legitimising those organisations and enhancing the coercive control that they have over those communities.
Well said, Eoin. And, you know, I like the reference to Dracula, but it's actually more akin to a government minister going to meet with the mafia, because this is basically what these organisations are. These are the remnants of loyalist paramilitaries during the 1960s, 70s, 80s and 90s. And when the peace process began, they were left high and dry. They didn't know what to do with themselves. So they got involved in organised crime. And they're still today running communities in Northern Ireland, involved in drug dealing, racketeering, all sorts of criminal behaviour. And they make significant amounts of money doing that. And what you have is you have the DUP who need these people to come out and vote for them at elections. They need to maintain contact with these organisations because, as we saw before, and I've mentioned this before, the DUP are the type of party to throw the stone and hide the hand. They will egg on these individuals to engage in all sorts of behaviour, and then they will condemn it the very next day. We saw it during the rioting. We saw it before that as well. When it came to the Brexit saga, you know, the DUP were not getting the type of Brexit that they wanted, so they were egging on loyalist paramilitaries to condemn the EU, to condemn the Irish government, to threaten people who were working at the ports in Northern Ireland as a result of Brexit. Now, it needs to be called out. How is it acceptable in a modern society that there are still mafia-type organisations hanging around? But how is it possible, even conceivable, that a government minister, two government ministers from the DUP, went and met with these organisations to get their advice or to get their input? These are criminal organisations. This is not some sort of leftover, okay, let's organise the community in some way and we get opinions from working class people. These are criminal organisations. It's like the government meeting with the mafia. In any normal society, that would be considered unacceptable. But why in Northern Ireland is it normal? We have to meet with the mafia. We need to get their input. We need to ask their permission if we can move asylum seekers into this community. The police recently were advising, as I mentioned in another video, advising asylum seekers and immigrants, but you best go to the community leaders, the loyalist paramilitaries, and ask if you can move in. Would this be acceptable in any other part of the United Kingdom? Of course not. Would it be acceptable in the Republic of Ireland? Of course not. Why is it acceptable in certain communities in Northern Ireland? Because politicians like the DUP pander to them, legitimise them, as Eoin has pointed out. And this is a serious problem that needs to end. But as long as parties like the DUP are relying on votes from those in the loyalist communities, then it's going to continue. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.